What a way to start the season for Tulane. They get a 23-3 win over Northwestern where they make Preston Stone throw for 4 interceptions and force another fumble. Ended up being total domination on defense, where the biggest story coming in was going to be the performance of the 2 transfer quarterbacks between Preston Stone transferring from SMU for Northwestern and Jake Retzlaff transferring in to Tulane from BYU. Right off the back, first possession of the game, you already got a sense of how this game was going to be played physically and how this defense was going to react to Preston Stone, and this offense was going to be against Northwestern. Second snap of the game, they get a strip sack on Preston Stone. It is recovered, but the following play, Stone gets pressured, overthrows a receiver, and is already picked off by Jaheim Jackson. More on him later. He had a really good game for Tulane. Probably going to be the best corner on this team. Jackson is a true sophomore out of Hammond. Played sparingly last year, only had 4 tackles on the season, but had 2 passes defended. In his first game this season, he doubled the passes defended with 4 and had his first career interception. Then you had Tulane's first drive of the game where they had 3 of their first 4 first downs were all to transfer skill positions, where it was the first 2 was to Florida Atlantic wide receiver Amari Hayes, and the third one was to Louisville running back transfer Maurice Turner. Also include that the touchdown on that drive, the first of the game, ended up being to Southern Miss tight end Justin Reed. After both teams trade 3 and outs, Northwestern's finally able to put some points off the board whenever they get a couple receptions to South Dakota State wide receiver transfer Griffin Wild, and they get some production from Caleb Komolafe on the ground game. After the field goal, Retzlaff responds, getting a couple completions back to Amari Hayes and a long 33-yard completion to Justin Reed that brought it down to the Northwestern 11-yard line. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get anything else from it, and then have to settle for a short 22-yard field goal from Patrick Durkin. Briefly, the next couple possessions for both teams goes as follows. On a second play from scrimmage on Northwestern's drive, Preston Stone throws another interception. Tulane got pressure with UTEP transfer edge rusher Mo Westmoreland, and then you had Adams cut open in front of the route intended for Frank Covey IV. Already in field goal range, Tulane isn't really able to do much on that following possession, where Retzlaff got sack loss and they had another tackle for loss against them, ending up in a Patrick Durkin 41-yard field goal. Just as I spoke up on the preview of this game, the strength of Northwestern was on their offensive and defensive lines, and it did show on this possession where top returning sack leader Aiden Hubbard got the sack on the game, and the tackle for loss by linebacker Matt Uline. Also on that drive, Retzlaff was able to avoid the pressure of Aiden Hubbard and complete a 4th down conversion on a 4th and 8 to Zycarl Lewis for a 10-yard gain. That ended up being a first down when they were in no man's land, but it still ended up resulting in that Durkin field goal. Once again, Northwestern in a further hole on it. They crossed midfield with receptions by Griffin Wild and Carson Grove, and then a couple of nice runs between backup running backs Joseph Hyman and Komolafe as well. Getting down to the Tulane side of the field, and Stone throws his 3rd pick of the day. This time it was the first of 2 to safety Javion White. Stone, trying to buy more time, ends up getting pressured by both linebacker Chris Rogers and nose tackle Elijah Champagne. This leads to Stone making a desperate heave along the sideline on a streak pass by Covey, and White is able to keep his footing right along the white line for that 3rd interception of the game. Then post turnover, and just under the 2-minute warning, on the second snap post his 3rd interception, Retzlaff does this. After an 18-yard Maurice Turner run to get it to the home 31-yard line, Retzlaff runs a 69-yard touchdown run that makes this score 20-3. Then Northwestern gets another 3 and out in the last possession for Tulane for the half. Retzlaff gets all the way down to the 16-yard line after he scrambles for a 34-yard gain as time expires. So the score is just 20-3 going into the half. We go back into the second half, and Tulane ends up getting the ball first. You have Returning production of the connection of Retzlaff to Amari Hayes again for a couple more receptions. And you get top returning running back Arnold Barnes getting a few nice runs off of it. Moore being the backup running back once again this year to it looks like Maurice Turner. They're able to get down to the 13-yard line, but after a short completion to Maurice Turner, they have to settle for another field goal, making the score 23-3. The rest of the game offensively, for the most part, Tulane was very conservative off of it, but their defense was able to keep Northwestern completely scoreless for the second half, including a fumble, another interception, and 2 turnover on downs. Alright, if you want to take a comparison piece of the 2 transfer quarterbacks coming in for their first start with a new program, you had Jake Retzlaff being 18 for 31, 152 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. But he also had 10 carries for 113 yards on the ground, including that 69-yard long touchdown run. Preston Stone, on the other hand, 19 for 36, 131 yards, 4 interceptions, 1 fumble loss. He was sacked 3 times, and they had turnover on downs twice in the fourth quarter. Now, Retzlaff's stat line did include him going over 100 yards passing and rushing in the first half. Now, leading the team on the ground for Northwestern, they had Cam Porter, who had six rushes for 46 yards. Most of that came on a single 25-yard run. The other backup running backs, Joseph Hyman, 8 carries, 38 yards, and Caleb Kolomalafe, 9 carries for 34 yards, for a combination of 76 yards on the ground, if you count all of Preston Stone's lost yardage, so they averaged just under 3 yards a carry. On the receiving end, they did receive solid contribution from South Dakota transfer Griffin Wild, who had 6 receptions for 64 yards, and the rest of it, Joseph Hyman, 3 receptions, 24 yards, and top returning receiver, 2 catches for 22 yards. On the other hand, with Tulane, besides Retzlaff's 113 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground, they also had 14 carries and 86 yards rushing for Maurice Turner, and 5 carries for Arnold Barnes and Javen Gordon for 28 and 24 yards respectively, and another 18 yards on 5 carries for Zubaira Mobley, another transfer in. Overall, the Green Wave had similar yardage, actually a little bit less than Northwestern due to the air, but they were in the lead the vast majority of the game to where they could just kind of run the ball down Northwestern's throat, to the total of 269 yards rushing against Northwestern's 76 yards, for a total of 421 yards of offense for Tulane on 33 minutes 21 seconds worth of time of possession, and no turnovers. Northwestern, on the other hand, 237 yards total, had 1 sack on the game, the 5 turnovers, not even including the 2 turnover on downs, with having the ball for about 26 and a half minutes. Last couple takeaways off of this. Retzlaff in his first start, yes, he did struggle with a bit of accuracy on different occasions, but he was able to kind of make up with it with his mobility and being able to get outside the pocket, get a few yards here or there, and having that long touchdown run right before the half to really fully feel like this game was just going to be out of reach starting in the second half. Defensively, it was nice to see that a bunch of the returning veterans were the ones that ended up coming in, getting a lot of these turnovers. Yes, you had a lot of the transfers coming in and give their production defensively, like Santana Hopper, you had Jaheim Jackson, you had Mo Westmoreland. But a lot of the big stats off of it, Javion White still was on the team last year. Kevin Adams was still on the team last year. So a very nice win against a Power 4 competition, even though Northwestern does look like there's a good chance, just like last year. Hopefully it ends up being better than it was, but this is not a good start for Northwestern. And Tulane gets to look up next week, a game against South Alabama on the road for the first true road test. But at this point, they've already made some improvement from last year. They've been able to beat a Power 4 opponent, wherever they do have 3 of them this season. And at this point, you have certain analysts that do believe that Tulane right now is the prohibited favorite to make the college football playoff as that non-Power 4 team. But they'll have to get through some of these next opponents coming up once they get by South Alabama, Duke, and Ole Miss. See how they are at this point. At that point after the first month of the season, and then we'll have more of a good idea on what the true potential of this team is. But Thank y'all for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe on it. Please tell more people about it. Leave a comment down below if you have anything else you want to add on it, anything else you want to tell me. And soon enough, we're going to be making more videos. Eventually, I'm going to get a commentary on that LSU Clemson game. I had to go back to watch this for the fact that I had not watched the game live. I had to basically just watch a replay of it. But that all being said, thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all in the next video.